Let's talk about one of the most powerful and controversial women in all of history, Empress Theodora of the Byzantine Empire. She's remembered as both a saint and a demonic tyrant. So how on earth can one person have two legacies that are so completely opposite?
I mean, history has left us with these two totally contradictory portraits. In one version, she's this brilliant, deeply religious empress who fights for the poor, but in the other, she's a cruel, power-hungry monster. And the wildest part, both of these stories were written by the exact same guy.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How do we even begin to find the truth about a woman who lived 1,500 years ago when our main source can't seem to make up his mind?
To figure that out, we have to start with our historian, a man named Procopius. Now, in his official public work, The History of the Wars, he painted a pretty positive picture of the empress. But then, after he died, this scandalous manuscript was found, called The Secret History, and in it, he just unleashes this brutal attack on her and her husband.
And you can see just how extreme the difference is here. Publicly, she's an influential advisor. Privately, a manipulative co-tyrant. Her early life is conveniently left out of the official history, but the secret history claims she was a sex worker. Her personality goes from determined and loyal to inhuman and vindictive. It's like historical whiplash.
So here's the bottom line. Modern historians don't really see the secret history as fact. They see it for what it is, a political hit piece. You have to remember, Procopius was an aristocrat. He was just outraged that a woman from the absolute lowest level of society could hold so much power. So he used every sexist and classist insult in the book to try and tear her down.
Okay, so if we push all that slander aside, what do we actually know about her? Well, to really understand Theodora, you have to understand her journey, because it was absolutely revolutionary.
Theodora was born around the year 500, and she came from nothing. Her dad was a bear trainer at the Hippodrome in Constantinople. Think of it as a giant stadium for chariot races. When he died, she and her sisters had to find work, so they became actresses. And back then, the term actress was so stigmatized it was basically a synonym for prostitute.
Now this is where things get really interesting. The heir to the entire empire, a man named Justinian, falls completely in love with her. But there was a huge problem. An old Roman law literally made it illegal for a high-ranking man to marry an actress. It was a social and legal brick wall.
But Justinian wasn't going to let a law stop him. Look at what he did. First, he gets her the official title of patrician. Then, he talks his uncle, the emperor, into changing the law itself. A whole new rule gets passed that says, okay, you can marry an actress as long as she has reformed. And just like that, they used the power of the state to bulldoze a social barrier and clear her path to become empress.
But, becoming empress is one thing. Actually holding on to that power is something else entirely. And in the year 532, Theodora faced the ultimate test when the entire empire was on the verge of collapse during the Nika Riots.
It started as a fight between sports fans at the Hippodrome, but it exploded into a massive rebellion. The whole city was on fire. Angry crowds and opportunistic senators even crowned a new emperor. Things got so bad that Justinian and his top advisors were literally packing their bags, ready to flee the city by boat.
And this was her moment. As all the men are panicking, Theodora stands up and gives this incredible speech. She refuses to run. She says she'd rather die an empress than live as a fugitive. And that final line, "Royalty is the best winding sheet," basically means a royal burial shroud is better than a coward's life. Her words completely shamed the council and gave Justinian the courage to stay and fight.
The result of her decision was incredibly brutal. Justinian's generals rounded up all the rebels, trapped them in the Hippodrome, the same place Theodora grew up, and massacred them. We're talking an estimated 30,000 people killed in one day.
It was a bloody and ruthless move, but it worked. Her intervention saved the throne. And after the Nika Riots, nobody ever doubted her power again. She proved she wasn't just some empress by name. She was Justinian's equal partner in ruling the empire. And this, for me, is where we find the best evidence of who Theodora really was. If you want to judge her, don't listen to the slander written by her enemies. Look at the laws she helped create.
Her entire political agenda seems to come directly from her own life experiences. Remember, she had been a working-class woman, an actress, and a target for exploitation. She knew exactly which parts of society were broken because she had lived them.
And just look at the laws she pushed through. She banned forced prostitution, she made rape a capital crime, and in a truly revolutionary move, that law protected all women, even enslaved women. She set up separate prisons for female inmates so they wouldn't be abused by male guards. She expanded rights for women in divorce and gave them guardianship over their own children. This wasn't just reform, it was a revolution.
So the message is pretty clear, right? She used her incredible power to protect the most vulnerable people in her society. She systematically went after the very injustices that she herself had likely faced. This wasn't just policy for her, it was personal.
So, as we wrap up, let's look at the legacy she left behind. A legacy that has somehow managed to shine through all the centuries of lies and gossip.
Her power wasn't just behind the scenes. It was official. It was institutional. In the law books, Justinian gave her the title Consors Nostra, which means our partner in deliberations. This was a formal, legal recognition that she was his co-ruler. And you can still see that partnership today, immortalized in this stunning mosaic in Ravenna, Italy. There she is, standing as Justinian's equal, dressed in the imperial purple and crowned with a halo. This is the image they wanted the world to see. A powerful, unified, and divinely approved imperial team.
So, back to our original question, saint or sinner? Well, the evidence of her actions shows a truly revolutionary leader who used her power to fight for women and the vulnerable. And yet, the vicious slander of her enemies has echoed just as loudly through history. Which really leaves us with one last question to think about. When a woman from the margins rises up to reshape the world, who is it that gets to write her story?